Welcome to video 1 in a special video series where you're going to look over my shoulder and watch me virtually wholesale a real life deal from start to finish coming up.
This video is brought to you by Flipster, the nation's #1 real estate software, with tools for finding, funding, and flipping houses. Check it out now at getflipster.com.
If you're new here, I'm Jerry Norton. I make millions of dollars a year wholesaling and flipping houses, and here on my YouTube channel, I show you how to do the same. So if you want to be a flipping genius like me and live your dream life, subscribe to my channel and watch my videos. If you're a hands-on type of learner like me, you're gonna love this video series where you're gonna watch me virtually wholesale a real life deal in Virginia. Now, when I say virtually, what I mean by that is remotely. I live in Puerto Rico and this deal is in Virginia, so I haven't actually seen this property in person. So I'm gonna wholesale it in a remote market across the ocean without ever physically seeing it. And that's what I love about wholesaling. Using this deal in Virginia as our case study on this part 1 video, I'm gonna show you the first 4 steps to wholesaling. Step 1, how we found the deal. Step 2, how we analyzed the deal to determine the offer price. Step 3, how we secured the deal in writing with the seller. And step 4, how we found a list of active local cash buyers in the neighborhood. And of course, I'll be teaching and explaining everything so that you'll learn with a real life deal and not abstract theory. You're also going to get an inside look at my deal management system, Flipster, which, as you'll see, is invaluable. I can't imagine doing this business without Flipster. If you've never heard of Flipster, it's a cloud-based, all-inclusive house flipping platform that has tools to help you organize, streamline, and automate all of the steps to finding and wholesaling houses. To check it out and see it in action, just go to getflipster.com. And be sure to stay tuned for part 2 on a future video where I'm going to show you how to secure the cash buyer and the most important part, getting paid at closing. All right, are you ready? Let's go. Let's talk about how we found this deal, but first, it's important to understand that finding distressed properties is a lot like deep sea fishing. The more lines in the water, the more fish you'll catch. Wholesaling is no different. The more methods you use to generate leads, the more deals you'll get. Inside Flipster, there are multiple lead generation tools, and one of them is the Craigslist Finder tool. How it works is it scrapes your Craigslist market and finds off-market distressed properties posted for sale by motivated sellers. What's cool about this tool is leads are refreshed daily, so you get the best deals before your competition, and this method is free because it doesn't cost money to find deals on Craigslist. That is a really big deal if you don't yet have a marketing budget. So using this tool, we found this property in Portsmouth, Virginia, posted for sale. It's 1,790 square feet and a 3-bedroom. From the outside, you can tell it needs a roof, and after taking a look at the inside, it clearly needs a complete rehab to bring this property up to retail value. Now, some of the house has been gutted. Aside from a new roof, it needs a new kitchen, new bathrooms, new flooring, and probably all new mechanicals, and from the looks of it, just about everything needs replaced. Now, the seller had purchased this property to fix up, but for whatever reason ran out of money and just wanted to sell it and get rid of it, so he posted it for sale on Craigslist. Now, originally he was asking $122,000, which, considering the amount of work needed, was way too much for this property. But one of the most important lessons I teach is to not discriminate offers based on asking price. In other words, price can be a deceiver. Just because the seller is asking $122,000 doesn't mean he won't take much less. The thing is, you have no control over whether the seller is motivated or not. All you have control over is making the offer. Here's the secret to wholesaling. The more offers you make, the more deals you'll get, and the more money you'll make. Leave a comment and write that so that you manifest it to the world. The more offers I make, the more deals I'll get, and the more money I'll make. Now, after finding this distressed property and before we can make an offer, we need to determine a good offer price that will allow us to wholesale it for a profit. This is actually step 2, analyzing the deal. Now, let me show you how to quickly crunch the numbers using Flipster's Deal Analyzer tool. In Flipster, once you've identified a lead to pursue, you start what's called a workflow, which helps you progress from a lead to a successful deal. Under step 3 in the workflow is Analyze. So click Find Comps. This opens up a window with sold comparable homes in the area. Right here, I'm going to select the comps that are similar to the subject property. Now, Flipster tells me that based on my comps, This property has an after repair value, or ARV, of $220,170. That's the price a fix and flipper can sell it for after fixing it up. Next, I'm going to click Run Deal Analyzer, and it's going to ask me some questions. Yes, this is a fix and flip deal. The rehab level is heavy because it needs everything. Yes, I'm planning on wholesaling this deal, and let's say I want to wholesale it for $10,000. Then click Submit, and here is the deal analyzer with a breakdown of all of the numbers. Right here is the square footage of the home. This is the after repair value of $220,000. The Flipster algorithm for a heavy rehab is $76,000, which seems realistic. These numbers here are soft costs that a flipper has to pay, including closing fees and financing to do a fix and flip. This is the profit a flipper can expect to make, $28,622. And here is our desired wholesale fee of $10,000 that we want to make. And here is the price, $81,000, that we need to get this deal for to wholesale it for $10,000 more to a flipper who will fix it up and flip it for $220,000. Now keep in mind, this is making some assumptions, but very quickly using the Flipster Deal Analyzer, I was able to get to an offer price that I can feel confident about. Now, the only way to really know what a cash buyer is willing to pay is to get the deal locked up and then put it in front of an actual cash buyer and see what they say. Be sure to watch the next video in this series where I'm going to show you how to secure a cash buyer. So even though the seller was asking $122,000 for this house, we made a lowball offer and the seller accepted our price of $81,000. Why? He's motivated and wants to get rid of this property that's causing him pain and stress in his life, and $81,000 is a fair price considering the condition. I also made the transaction very convenient for him. Now, talking to sellers and especially making lowball offers can seem very intimidating at first. I know it did for me when I got started, but with practice and the right training, you can be successful. To help you, be sure to get my seller scripts and how to overcome objections. This will help you know what to say to sellers and how to make offers with confidence, and I'll give you my proven seller scripts for free. Just go to freesellerscripts.com to download those for free. Now, after the seller verbally agreed to our price of $81,000, it was time for step 3, which was to secure the deal in writing. Remember, until you get a fully executed purchase and sale agreement, you don't have a deal. What's cool about Flipster is it has a built-in digital contract called the Offer Generator Pro. It takes about 5 minutes to fill out, then you email it directly to the seller who can sign right on his smartphone or computer. What I recommend you do is send it while the seller is still on the phone with you and go over it together, review the most important parts, answer any questions, and get him to execute it with you on the phone. That's what we did on this deal. Let's take a quick look at the executed contract so that you can see what it looks like. Right here is the price of $81,000. It's for cash. This says that since the property is vacant, the seller gives us the right to enter the property. This says that it will be vacant at the time of closing. This says that the buyer and seller will each pay their own closing costs, so we did not agree to pay the seller's closing cost on this deal. This says that the property will be broom swept clean and free of any debris or belongings. This says appliances are not included, which there weren't any. And I want to point out this clause right here, number 19. It says, investor disclosure. Seller acknowledges that buyer is an investor and purchases properties with the intent to lease, flip, resell, or otherwise make a profit. Seller acknowledges that the purchase price may be less than market value and is willingly selling it as such for convenience, to save time, lack of funds to renovate, and/or other personal reasons. Seller waives any claims against any existing equity or added value arising from the property. Buyer has not made seller any representations or promises as to the value of the property in its as-is condition. Now, the other clause I want to point out is number 26, assignment and release. It says, seller agrees and acknowledges that buyer may assign its rights under this agreement to a wholly or partially owned entity of the buyer or a third party that will close directly with the seller. If such an assignment should happen, seller agrees to release buyer from any liability or duties under this agreement. Okay, so I'm disclosing that my intent is to make a profit and that I may wholesale this property. Now, I have these clauses in my contract because I'm very big on disclosure and I want to make sure there is no doubt with the seller what my intentions are. Okay, the closing on the contract was about 30 days out from the agreement, so that way we had plenty of time to find a cash buyer. Now this contract has taken me 18 years to perfect. Once the seller digitally signs it, it automatically comes back into Flipster and is stored in the system. Talk about organized and streamlined. Now, if you want a PDF download version of my ultimate purchase and sale agreement, I'll give it to you for free. Just go to wholesalercontracts.com. If you want the digital version that you email directly to sellers that integrates into your CRM, it comes standard with Flipster. Again, to learn more about Flipster and see it in action, just go to getflipster.com. Okay, the fourth step is to find a list of cash buyers who will want our deal. Now, since I've never done a deal before in Portsmouth, Virginia, I don't know a single cash buyer, so let me show you a really cool free hack strategy to find a list of local active cash buyers right in the same neighborhood. Now this is really fast and easy. Using Zillow, I'm gonna search for homes that have recently sold that were rehabbed by a flipper. Now the reason why this is so effective is because a cash buyer that is already actively flipping houses in the same neighborhood would more than likely be interested in my deal. Here's the thing about flippers. They love to do repeat deals in the same neighborhoods where they've already done deals. So let me show you how to do this. I'm gonna go to Zillow.com and I'm gonna search the address for my deal. Then I'm gonna close that property tab and Zillow shows a map with default active comps. So next I'm gonna set some filters and see if I can find some sold comps that are flips. So I'm gonna switch this to sold. I'm gonna just look at houses. I'm gonna add a minimum of 1,250 square feet so we don't look at small houses. And then let's go ahead and add a minimum price filter so we get rid of low price comps. I'm gonna put 175,000 as the minimum. Now our subject property is on Effingham right here. So let's look for a flip. Let's look at this one right here on 2404 Effingham. And this is a flip. How do I know? Well, it's completely renovated and it's vacant. So a flipper bought this property just down the street from our deal and rehabbed it and sold it. Now I'm gonna show you in a minute how to quickly find this cash buyer, but let's find another sold fix and flip. Okay, this one here at 2114 Effingham, which is even closer to our deal, and it's a flip as well. How do I know? Again, it's renovated and vacant. Let's find one more. This one is 2316 Effingham, which is also a rehab, and this house is literally next door to our house. Wow, talk about a good comp. Check this out. Here's my deal, and here is that sold comp that was a fix and flip. Now I'm gonna laser in on that flipper. That's pretty sweet that there was a flipper next door to my deal. So that was 3 right on the same street. And keep going until you find about 10 to 12 flips in the area. Once you've compiled a list, here is the next step. We could skip trace and look who the flipper was that did the deal, but there's a much faster and easier way. I'm gonna contact the listing agent that represented these flippers and say to them, I noticed you listed and sold a renovated home on 2316 Effingham. I actually have the house right next door that would be another great fix and flip. I'm calling you to see if your flipper would be interested in another flip. Now, that agent is going to be more than eager to bring your deal to his flipper, and you don't have to pay him anything. Here's why. Now that agent is bringing a deal to his investor, so he looks good, and he gets another renovated home to list and sell after it gets fixed up. So it's a huge win for the agent to take your deal to his flipper. And finding the agent is easy. If you go back to the listings we were looking at, right here it says listed by Tyler Kraus with Kova Home Realty. Now sometimes there is not a phone number like in this example, but all you need to do is Google his name and brokerage and you can find his phone number. In my experience following this strategy, I can usually find a buyer for my deal after talking to 10 to 12 agents who represented flippers in the neighborhood. So here's what I'm gonna do next. In the next part 2 video in this video series, I'm gonna model for you what this looks like. I'm gonna actually call these agents that I found and show you exactly what it looks like to find a buyer for my deal. Now, if you think that would be super helpful to see that live, leave a comment and say, thanks for showing us how to wholesale step by step. Jerry, you are a flipping genius. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel. With over 800 videos, this is the #1 channel on YouTube for all things flipping, and I'll see you on the next video.